Okay, so today we are going to cover section 2, and it's going to be the law of cosines. So for the law of cosines, it is another formula that you need to memorize, and they're up here. It's sort of a variation of the Pythagorean theorem. So notice the beginning of the formula and the end. This is the side and the angle that's across from it. So notice they all match like that. And then the other two sides that are in the formula are the ones that aren't at the beginning and the end. So we're going to be using this formula one time when we're given information that forms a side. We're giving 3 sides, or we're given 2 sides and an angle. But what's different between that given information in 8.1 is the angle that will be given will be the included angle. And what I mean by that is because remember when you had this situation or this produced that ambiguous case where we could have 1 triangle, 2 triangles, or no triangles. But notice here, we're also going to be given 2 sides. But again, the difference when we draw it will be A, B, C. What will be given to you is a side length here. So let's say this is 4 and this is 8. And then they would give you an angle measure here. So it'll be the 2 sides that are going to make the angle because this creates the side angle side situation. So that's what's different from the ambiguous case. Now, if you don't draw it the right way or you try to set it up, as soon as you would try to take your information and plug it into law of sines, you would find that you would have 2 unknowns. And there would be no way you could solve that proportion. So as soon as you go to set up your proportion and you have 2 unknowns in it, then you should know that you need to do law of cosines. So here is a little summary of the different situations you can encounter. We already talked about case 1. And in case 1, this was the examples that I did in the notes from 8.1. They were like the first 3 examples I did. And this was the side angle or the angle side angle. The second case, this was our ambiguous case. And notice you're going to be given 2 sides and an angle or an angle and 2 sides. It will not be the included angle because when it's the included angle and it's side angle side, this is when we have to do law of cosines. So this is an 8.2 question. This is still 8.1 up here. And then the last case, when you're given all 3 sides and no angles at all, that is also going to be using law of cosines. It has the steps clearly listed for the process that you need to follow for solving these. Notice the last 2 cases, step number 1 on both of these says to use law of cosines first. The top 2 cases, we're using law of sines. And then we can also use the angle sum and then another law of sines if need be. So let's practice this. I'm actually going to do 2 of each. I'm going to do 2 side triangles and 2 side angle side triangles. And that's all we're going to do today. So I'm going to give you 2 examples of each. And then tonight your homework is to practice them. Then tomorrow in class, I'll give you a few more to practice. And then we'll take a quiz on this. So by doing the notes today, we're also going to be reviewing the law of sines because that's going to be step 2 of all of my problems. Because if you notice here, step 2 says to use law of sines. Step 2 here says use law of sines. So let's try it. So here's my first situation. Again, on the quiz, I'm not going to tell you that this is a side angle side case. I'm just going to, again, give you the information, 3 given pieces of information. From that, you can create your own triangle if you need to, and then we'll use our formulas. So again, for this one, it's a side angle side, so I'm going to use the law of cosines. I am going to take my given information, and the formula I'm using is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2 times b times c times cosine A. Now, the way that I knew which one to use is I'm going to look for the angle that was given. Because again, remember, I needed the beginning and the end to match. So the angle that was given was A, so I'm going to be looking for side length A first. So I'm going to plug in my given. I'm leaving A squared alone because I do not know what it is. That's what I'm solving for. I'm going to put in B squared, which is going to be 12.9, and I'm going to square it. You can do this continuously in your calculator. You will probably have to add in some parentheses in order for it to work out. Or you could figure out what 12.9 squared is, write it down. Then figure out what 15.4 squared is, write it down. And then go back and add and subtract. But you can do it continuous in your calculator. I highly recommend that probably for this last part, you do include a parentheses. So you're going to multiply 2 times 12.9 times 15.4 times the cosine of 42.3. So go ahead and try this in your calculator. So square 12.9 plus 15.4 squared minus, and then I would do like a parenthesis around this. Once you do all of this calculations, you should get 109.7. So go ahead and try that. Again, we don't want A squared, so after you do all that, we're going to square root it. And A, we're going to round to the hundreds place, is approximately equal to 10.47. Yes?
And we always do positives since it's an angle, right?
Do positives?
Yeah, like we always do positives since it's an angle, right? Because when you square root it, you get plus and minus.
Right, yes. Yes. Normally, yes, when you would square root and solve for a variable, we would get a plus minus like on the test for solving those trig equations. However, we don't want a negative angle measure, so we're only keeping the positive answer. All right, everybody got that answer? Anybody having issues with their calculator? All right, step 2, if you remember from that box that I showed you, is to use law of sines. Now, make sure you pay attention to what I'm about to say. The next angle measure that we need to find, or the next piece of information, we are going to be looking for the smaller of the 2 remaining missing angles. So we're looking for the smaller angle of the 2 that are missing. And the way that I can tell which one is the smallest is I'm going to look at the sides across. So my 2 missing angles are still C and B. I'm going to look across from B, and I see it's 12.9. I'm going to look across from C, and I'm going to see it's 15.4. This tells me that the smaller angle is going to be angle B. So I'm going to be finding angle B by using law of sines. So I'm going to be doing the sine of B. The side across from it is 12.9. And then I'm going to use my given angle, which is going to be the 42.3, and the side across from it that I just calculated. And now, just like you did for the test, cross multiply and divide. Again, remember we're looking for an angle measure, so we're using inverse operations. So we're going to hit that second key and sine, so it opens up sine -1. So I'm going to show you the cross products here. Sine B times 10.47 equals sine of 42.3 times 12.9. Going to divide by 10.47. And I get sine of B is approximately equal to 0.829,213,1255. Remember, keep this in your calculator and then just hit second sine, so it opens up sine -1, and then hit second answer, so you don't have to rekey all this. Once you do that and hit enter, the measure of this angle is going to be approximately 56.01799,162. We're going to round to the nearest degree here because it's a 0 and make it 56 degrees. Now to find the last piece of missing information, I'm going to take the two given, or the angle I just calculated, plus the one I had at the beginning, add that and subtract it from 180. So 56 plus the original 42.3, and I get 98.3. I'm going to subtract that from 180. And my last missing piece is going to be 81.7. So this is the last missing angle, and that's angle C. So I had to, originally this was side angle side, so I needed to find two angles. So angle B is 56, angle C is 81.7. And the original side length that was missing, that I did at the beginning with law of cosines, is the 10.47 meters. So again, you're given three pieces, you need to find three pieces. So this was the side angle side situation. Again, answers are in degrees, decimal degrees. Let's try number 2. We're going to try a side situation. Everybody good on the side angle side? All right, so again, this time I'm given 3 sides. When we're given 3 sides, I'm using law of cosines, and I'm going to be looking for the largest angle first. And the way that I can tell which one is the largest, the A, the B, or the C, is by looking at the sides across from it. So I can see that my largest side is right here at the 21.1. So I'm going to be finding angle C first. So the formula that I should be using is the C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2 times A times B times cosine C. Now, I could plug in my given information into this, but I could not do this continuous in my calculator because this is going to turn into a 2-step equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange this first and solve for cosine C. It'll make my problem a little bit easier. So I want to isolate cosine C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2AB cosine C to both sides because I want to make that positive. So now I have C squared plus 2AB cosine C equals A squared plus B squared. Once we manipulate this, just memorize what's going to result. And then you don't have to manipulate it on the test or the quiz. Then I'm going to move the C squared over. 2AB cosine C is equal to A squared plus B squared minus C squared. I want cosine C all by itself, so divide by 2AB. So now my problem's a little bit simpler, and again, just memorize this, that the cosine of C is equal to A squared plus B squared minus C squared over 2AB. So then you don't have to do this whole manipulation process on the test or the quiz. So again, now let's replace my A, B, and C. So again, cosine C is equal to 9.47 squared plus 15.9 squared minus 21.1 squared. All divided by 2 times 9.47 times 15.9. Now, If you're going to do this continuous in your calculator, you're going to need to put parentheses around the numerator and the denominator. I'm actually going to calculate the numerator, write that number down, calculate the denominator, write that number down, just so I have an intermediate step so you can sort of check what you're doing. So cosine C, and then the numerator will simplify after I square, 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 subtract. I get negative 102.7191. The denominator, when I multiply those three things, I get 301.146. I'm going to divide it. Once I get that division, remember this is looking for an angle measure. So again, we're going to do the shift, cosine negative 1. So after I divide those two, now if you're doing it continuous in your calculator from this point, this is the answer you should get after you divide those two. Negative 0.341090, no, 341094028, and then C is approximately equal to 109.9435417. We're going to round to the tenths place, so angle C is approximately equal to 109.9. Now again, step 2, use law of sines. And again, we're going to look for the smaller of the two. And then for the last angle, I just use that angle sum. So the smaller of the two is going to be angle A. So here I'm going to do sine of A over 9.47 is equal to sine of 109.9, the number I just got, over 21.1. Cross multiply. Equals sine 109.9 times 9.47. Divide that by 21.1. And the sine of A, after I multiply and divide, I get 0.4220155,717. Again, I'm looking for an angle measure, so I'm doing the inverse. So again, let me write this down. Again, you should be hitting like your second answer key, so you don't have to keep keying this in. So A will be approximately equal to 24.9619045. We'll round this and it'll become 25. Now, remember on this problem, we were given 3 sides. I've only found 2 angles. I need to find the third one. That process is easy. I can add it and then subtract from 180, or I could do another law of sine. So I'm going to add 25 plus 109.9. Once I add that, I get 134.9. Subtract that from 180, and I get 134.9, 45.1. So that's going to be my angle B. So again, 3 missing angles. It was angle A, and I just found that one to be 25. Angle B, I just found that one, and that's 45.1. And angle C I found from the law of cosines, 109.9. So again, you're looking for 3 missing pieces. Okay, let's try another example. We'll go back to a side angle side. So again, notice once I added it to my picture, it is the included angle because it's a side, and then the 2 sides make the angle. So this is how I can tell that I need to do law of cosines. It's not going to be an ambiguous case. So again, I'm looking for the side that's opposite the angle that's given. So I'm going to be using c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2 times a times b times cosine c. Again, the beginning and the end need to match. It's the side and the angle across. So let's fill it in. So again, I'm solving for c squared. My a is 4.21. Square it. B is 5.71. Square it. 2 times 421 times 571 times cosine of 28.3. So again, you can do this continuous, add in some parentheses, and then once you get the answer, you need to square root it. So once I multiply and add and subtract here, c squared should equal 7.996433,703. Again, to find the value of c, square root that. 2.8277966616, rounded to the hundreds place, so 2.83 meters. So that's given me the length of C. Now that I have an angle and the side across from it, now I can do law of sines. And again, I'm going to find the smaller of the two. So the smaller of the two angles between A and B is going to be angle A because it's opposite the smaller side. So I'm going to now do the sine of A over 4.21, the sine of 28.3, which was the angle given, over my newly found side that I just calculated with law of cosines, and cross multiply and divide. So sine of A times 2.83 is equal to the sine of 28.3 times 4.21. Divide 2.83, and you should get the sine of A, or what we're going to put in for the inverse, is going to be 0.7052690318, and angle A is approximately 44.8512882. We'll round that to the tenths place, so 44.9. Now, I have my original given angle, which was angle C. So angle A plus angle C, I will add those and subtract from 180 to get angle B. So this gives me 73.2. Subtract that from 180. And I find out my missing angle is 106.8. So again, this was a side angle side. So I found out that angle A equals 44.9. And I'm missing another angle, so that's going to be angle B, which is 106.8. And then the side length that I found at the beginning, which was C, 2.83. So those were the missing pieces because they had given me angle C and sides B and C. One more example, it'll be another side, 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 and then you can begin your homework. I will be posting the review problems probably this afternoon. So for those of you who want to start on it, you can, and then use tomorrow's class to ask me questions. So let's try number 4. Again, notice I'm given side length A, B, and C. Soon as you see it side, 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 you should realize that we're using cosine. And again, I'm going to use my manipulated formula. So if you memorize that the cosine of C, then you don't have to do the whole long thing and rearrange it, is equal to a squared plus b squared minus c squared divided by 2 times a times b. So let's plug in our numbers. So a squared, or a, is 189. B is 214, and C was 325. Again, if you're going to do it continuous in your calculator, I would parentheses around that numerator, and then the denominator will be 2 times 189 times 214. Again, I would put parentheses around the whole denominator. So cosine C, I'll do the numerator first. It's negative 24108. The denominator, 80892. For those of you going right to the division, the number you should be putting in for the inverse is negative 0.298026999. And we'll find out that angle C is about 107.3. So again, when we're doing the side, 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 we should be finding the largest angle first. That's why I solved for C. Next, I'll do law of sines for the smaller, which is angle A. Everybody good on the cosine part? Next, we'll do law of sines, and I'm going to do angle A. So for angle A, I'm going to be doing the sine of A over 189, the sine of 107.3 over the side that's across from C, which was 325. I'm going to cross multiply. Sine A times 325 equals sine 107.3 times 189. Divide by 325, and I get sine of A is equal to 0.555230165. Again, inverse, because it's an angle measure. And then once I do that, angle A is 33.72656 678. I'll round it to the tenths, 33.7 degrees. And now to find angle B, I can add them and subtract from 180. And that'll give me my other missing one. So 33.7 plus 107.3. We will add those and then subtract from 180. I get 141. 180 minus 141, and I get 39. So my missing angles, angle A is 33.7, angle B is 39, and angle C from the very beginning is 107.3. Remember, once you get these three angles, they should add to be 180. If not, you've done something wrong. Okay, so that is the notes for 8-2. Again, when you see a side, side, side situation, know that you're going to use law of cosines first, and the same thing for side angle side. So you have homework on this. It is 19 through 33 odds. Again, remember the answers. Some of them may be in minutes. So again, if you're checking your answers, and let's say the answer was 39 degrees and 20 minutes, remember to convert these minutes into a decimal. You're going to divide it by 60 minutes and make this 39 point, and then you would add it so it would become like 39.3 degrees. So that's how you can convert, so you can make sure that the answers you're getting, if the answers are given in minutes, you can convert them to decimal degrees. All of the questions on the test will be in decimal degrees, no minutes. So that is 8-2. Tomorrow we'll review, and again, the quiz is on Thursday.